Hey gang, Stags here, getting ready to head back into the shop. Wanted to talk a little bit today about the R45101. This is Ridgid's job site table saw, and it has a lot of great convenience features that make life on the job site a whole lot simpler. It's not your ordinary average job site saw. You'll see that in just a second. First, let's take a look at the fact sheet while I carry this in. All right, let's start at the very beginning because literally this saw takes, I'd say, less than 5 seconds to set up. Here's how. I think that was about 2.5 seconds. This is really an incredible piece of equipment for the job site. It's reasonably lightweight, and the features on it, well, they just make life a whole lot easier. Let's take a look at a few of them. Starting on the left-hand side, there is room for not only the anti-kickback pawls and the guard, the blade guard, but also all of the wrenches you need to change the blade out on this table saw are stored right there conveniently in one place. That's very handy. On the front of the saw, the power switch is nice and large, easily operable, and has a lockout key as well that prevents unwanted use of the saw. Moving over to the main controls, the lock knob there will lock the controls so you can't raise or lower the blade. The blade is raised and lowered by means of this wheel, up and down. It's very responsive and simple to use. Now for beveling, you flip the lever and you can use the wheel to bevel the saw as well. So once you get to where you want, you can fine tune it with the knob or again with the wheel. It just depends on how you want to operate the saw. Putting it back into zero position there, let's move on to the other side. On the right side of the saw, you'll find storage on board for the fence. Nice convenient place for it. There is also storage for the miter gauge and safety equipment as well. A push stick is stored on board this table saw. Nice feature. Finally, on the back of the saw, you'll find cord storage tucked neatly out of the way, and the dust port here, which will take any standard dust collection hose. All right, now that we know where everything lives, I have the saw unplugged. Let's go over a few of the features up here up top and see how they all work together. Of course, the fence. This is actually one of the best fences I've seen on a job site saw. It locks in nicely at both the front and the rear of the saw, and it slides very smoothly, first of all, which is important, of course. But secondly, when you lock this down, it is rock solid. It does not go anywhere. So it's a nice sturdy fence. So you're going to get a nice parallel line between the blade and the fence. Great fence. It also has a micro adjustment dial on the back and a very easy to read scale along the width of the fence, which extends, by the way. I'll show you that in just a second. First though, let's take a look at the miter gauge. The miter gauge is easily adjustable. Twisting the knob, you can align it to your favorite number and lock it back down. The detents at 0, right there, allow you to keep it perfectly aligned. It slides in both T-tracks, or T-slots rather. Very, very smooth. And again, very little play in that. I mean, maybe a 30-second, but that's about it. So again, it's a nice, high quality piece of equipment especially again for a job site saw. The push stick, we know how that works. I'm going to slide it back into its storage holder there. And let's look at the blade and the safety equipment now. Now, first of all, the throat plate lifts off very easily without any tools. The writhing knife, raise the blade here and show you that. They got a nice feature on this saw that lets you raise or lower the writhing knife, and it's a little knob down inside, and you lift this knob up. Now what I've found is it does get pretty tight in there. Not a big deal. I use a C-wrench and just slide it on there. Just gives me a little leverage. Piece of cake. So once you have that in place, you can either raise or lower the writhing knife to your particular tastes. So once it's in place, lock the lever back down, and you can do that without the tool, or you can use the C-wrench to put it back in place. To install the rest of the safety equipment, you return the throat plate to its proper position. The anti-kickback pawls, there's a little button on the side that you squeeze. They drop down into the slot on the rear of the knife, and they are in position once you let the button go, just like that. They're locked in. The blade guard itself installs in the slots next to the anti-kickback pawls with the flip of a lever right there, and that's literally it. Remember, safety equipment is very important. Top priority here at Tool Skool. The table itself extends out several more inches, effectively with the fence in place. You're going to get somewhere in the neighborhood, safely, of 22.5 inches out here. Now, you want to see it work? Let's cut something. This Ridgid job site table saw has a ton of improvements over its predecessor. Dana and I have been working with one of the older saws, and you know, after a few years, they've done their bit for King and Country. It's time to upgrade. It's time to replace. Done with the job, everything slides back into its proper hole right here. Flip up the fence. It slides back there, just like that. Close the rails down, and then we'll just drop the blade, and guess what? All it takes is a kick of the foot, lift it up, and you're off to the next job. Take a look at this saw.